Hey everyone, it's Emily, and it is time to talk about the books that I am excited about that are coming out in 2021. I always love kind of scouting what books I'm excited about, and just it always gives me something to look forward to throughout the months. So, without further ado, here are some that I'm very excited. I wrote them down on my phone, so I'm going to be consulting my list as I talk. But the first book that I'm super excited about is Angie Thomas's next book, and that is Concrete Rose. And I think this is a bit more historical than her first two books, where it's still set in the same world as far as I understand, and I believe this one follows Star's dad when he was younger. So it's set a little bit farther back in time than her other two books, but still following some of the characters that we love from her first book, The Hate You Give. So very excited about that. I've absolutely loved both of her books so far. I love her writing style so much, and I'm super pumped about Concrete Rose. I'm also on, and that's coming out January 12th, if I didn't mention that. On January 19th, we're getting Winter Keep, and this is by Kristen Cashore. This is the fourth book in the Graceling Realm series. I didn't realize there was going to be another book coming out, but there's going to be another book in the Graceling Realm series, so obviously I'm super pumped about it. I read all three of those books, or the first three books in that series. I read all of those in 2020, and I've absolutely adored every single one of them. I think this one in particular follows after the events of Bitter Blue, and I think kind of follows her a little bit later on. So I think this is going to be a follow-up to Bitter Blue, but so you probably will want to have read the other ones in the series, in particular Bitter Blue, in order to follow this one, I'm guessing. But I'm very excited for another book in that world. And on January 26th, getting written in Starlight, Isabel Ibanez. This is I believe, companion novel to Woven in Moonlight, which is a YA fantasy I really enjoyed that I read in 2020. And this one follows, I believe it's a Bolivian-inspired fantasy, or the original one was, that followed a decoy contessa that needed to kind of be a kind of undercover in the fortress of the people who took the land that her people were originally on. So she needed to kind of go back undercover to kind of see if she could help her people. It was super fun. I really, really enjoyed that book, so I'm excited to see a companion novel in that world. February 9th, we get The Bride Bet, and this is the fourth book in the Is It Girl Meets Duke series by Tessa Dare. This is, again, another series. I read the first three of these in 2020, and these are just fun historical romances, Regency romances that follow just spunky, fun female characters as they meet different dukes and fall in love with them. They're just super fun and entertaining. I think they're hilarious, and she always adds some sort of element to her female characters that I really connect with and really, really love. So I'm very excited for the next one in that series. On the 16th of February, I'm very excited. We're getting another book from Becky Chambers. We're going to be blessed with two books from Becky Chambers in 2021, and if that isn't going to make the year great, then I don't know what will. So we're getting The Galaxy and the Ground Within on February 16th. This is the fourth book in the Wayfarer series, which is a series of companion novels that I have just completely fallen in love with. It's a character-based sci-fi story, or series of stories, all set in the same world, that really just follow different characters throughout this universe and their lives. That's those are the books. And they're so well written. I think she has a lot of interesting things to say that she uses sci-fi to say, and really just talks about humanity through talking about other species. It's just super interesting. I've loved every single book in that series. On March 16th, we're getting a couple of sequels to Fairy Loot books that I've enjoyed. Well, one of them actually I haven't read yet. But the second book after Fable is coming out on March 16th. I still need to read Fable, but if I enjoy that, then I'll be looking forward to the second one. And there's also the second book after, or following The River of Royal Blood. I just wrote down Fable #2 and River of Royal Blood #2, so I don't actually remember the names of the second books, but I will put images here. I really enjoyed River of Royal Blood. It was a super interesting world with a bunch of different species and kind of interesting politics and interactions between them. I just thought it was a fun world that I'm really excited to go back to. On March 30th, we're also getting the follow-up to Bonecryer's Moon, and this one I actually did write down the name, Bonecryer's Dawn. I think Fairy Loot is offering or doing a kind of a special thing where they have a special edition of the second book of Bonecryer's Dawn that's gonna kind of go along with or match their special edition for the first book. I think I actually ordered that. So I might actually get a special edition of this book. It was just a fun book that I really enjoyed reading. I read it in October of 2020, and you know, it was just a fun world. I was interested in the Bonecryers and kind of the mythology around them, and I had a fun time following Aless and Sabine and Sebastian, and you know, I'm just excited to see their story continue. On April 27th, there's only one in April that I have noted, and that is The Nobleman's Guide to Scandals and Shipwrecks by Mackenzie Lee. This is, again, another series that I've enjoyed. I've read the 2 full-length novels as well as the novella that are kind of set in this world, and it's a historical fantasy where it's, you know, mostly historical, kind of 1800s people who I absolutely adore the characters, and there's some added fantastical elements throughout her stories as well. And both of her stories center queer characters, and so it's great. I love them. They've been so much fun, and just kind of a really cool blend, again, of historical and just super fun fantasy elements. So very much looking forward to that. On May 6th, we get One Last Stop, which is Casey McQuiston's next book. And I don't remember exactly what this one is about. I know it centers a female-female romance, or I'm pretty sure it centers a female-female romance. And I know that I absolutely adored her first book, which was Red, White, and Royal Blue, which followed a male-male romance between a Prince of England, a Prince of England and the son of the first female president of the United States. And I just absolutely adored that book. So I definitely am wanting to give this next one from Casey McQuiston a try to see if I just absolutely fall in love with her books and if she's going to be an auto-author for me. So that is coming, I believe on May 6th is what I've written down. I think that same week we're also getting a couple of other things that I'm really excited about. There's also Project Hail Mary from Andy Weir. Andy Weir is the author of The Martian, which I absolutely loved, and Artemis, which I still had a good time with. I didn't enjoy it as much as The Martian, but I still had a fun time with that one. And so he's coming out with another book. And this one also follows a lone astronaut that must save Earth. And I don't know too much more than that, but I'm excited to see what else he writes. So also that week is the next Victoria Aveyard book. So I had a fun time reading the Red Queen series, and she's starting a new series, and the first book of that new series is coming out that week. It's called Romebreaker is the first book. I didn't actually look up what this one was about, or I don't remember if I actually read the synopsis, what it's about, but I'm curious to see what else she writes. So on May 11th, we're getting the next book after Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova. I'll put an image here because, once again, I didn't write down the name of the actual second book, because why would I do that? But I did absolutely adore Incendiary. I actually just read it recently as of when I'm filming this. And it was just a fun world that followed a kingdom that's cracking down on people with magic and the rebellion, and there's a woman inside the rebellion who needs to go undercover back into the palace of the kingdom so that she can kind of help the rebellion. It was a ton of fun. I'm excited for the second one. How many times can I say that in one video? On June 1st, we are getting the T Dragon Tapestry by Katie O'Neill, and this is a super cute set of graphic novels, and I've read both of the other two. It's T Dragon Society and T Dragon Festival, I think. Anyway, I've read both of the other ones in this series, and it's, again, just graphic novel series, and her art style is absolute perfection. On June 15th, we're getting the second book after Forest of Souls. I believe this one, was it called The Broken Web or something? Again, I'll put an image here. And this was another one. I anticipate reading both this one and Bonecryer's Dawn in October or around that time because it was super fun to read those in fall. And I'm just curious to see what happens in this next in this story as well. We're also getting another truly devious novel, and I believe this one is the start of a completely new, like you follow the same characters, but my understanding is that it's a new mystery that's coming up, and I didn't want to find out much more. I think I just would like to just go into this one and see what happens, but I, again, had such a fun, I read this entire trilogy, I think I read the first two late last year, and then the third one came out earlier this year, and I read that. And yeah, absolutely adored the atmosphere of this one and the writing. This is another one that was perfect to read around fall. And I read the first two last fall. Like, this is just a perfect series to read around fall, so I might try to save that one for fall as well. On June 22nd, we are getting the next book in the Witchland series, and that is Witch Shadow. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love Susan Dennard's writing. I love this world. I love these characters. I'll have to see. I don't know if this is going to be the last one in the series or not. And if it's not the last one, I might wait a bit because I'm probably going to want to reread the first novels in this series and kind of reread it and then continue on with the series. I might want to do that. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure out how much I remember, and maybe I'll just need to read a synopsis of the other books and then go into Witch Shadow, because I started this series a while ago, and so definitely, especially the first couple of books, I'm definitely going to need a refresher on. So those are the books that are coming out in the first 6 months of 2021 that I am super stoked about. I mentioned 2 Becky Chambers books, so I'll just mention briefly that her second book is coming out in July. So that'll be one I talk about in my next video, like in the middle of next year, where I talk about the books I'm looking forward to in the second half of the year. But I think that one's going to be the start of a new series and unrelated to her Wayfarer series. I'm just, 2 Becky Chamber books in 1 year, guys. I'm pumped. So yeah, as I said, those are some of the books in the first 6 months that I am incredibly excited about. Please let me know which books you're excited about and which ones you think I should have on my radar, because I'm always happy to add more. And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content. I'll leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below. That's where I like to hang out. I will also leave more resources below about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!